Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into my YouTube channel. It's just after Thanksgiving, and I hope that everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving with friends and family. In one of my previous videos, someone suggested that I go over all the rods that I carry, and I'm assuming when he means all the rods that I carry in my tournament boat as I fish the tour over the course of a calendar year. And we go to so many different fisheries from, say, Florida to the Great Lakes and Texas and everywhere in between. So you've got ledge lakes, you've got grass lakes, you've got smallmouth lakes, you've got big reservoirs that have largemouth, smallmouth, and spots. So we get to carrying quite a bit of rods with us in the boat. And I thought about doing that video, and I might do it in the future, go over all the rods. This sounds like I'm bragging, but I'm not. This isn't even all the rods that I carry in the course of a year. In my boat, I probably carry from 16 to 20 rods, probably right around 18 is where I usually settle in. I know other pros that carry about 30 rods in the boat. I try to minimize my stuff. As you know, if you follow my channel, I like to keep things simple, major on the majors and minor on the minors. And obviously where you are in the country, where you are geographically, the types of fisheries that you're gonna fish are gonna vary. I mean, a guy in Missouri is not gonna probably have a punching rod unless there's some areas there that I'm unaware of that might have some grass lakes and different things like that. Well, here in Texas, I'm gonna want a punch rod. In Florida, you're gonna want a punch rod. Up in the Great Lakes, you might want a punch rod if you're fishing for largemouth, but if you're fishing for smallmouth, you wouldn't want one at all. So it really just depends on where you are in the country. So all that being said is I might do a video that goes over all the rods that I carry in my tournament boat for the course of a tournament season. But for today's purposes, I want to go over the 5, in my opinion, based on where I'm located geographically, must-have rods that you're going to want to carry as a bass fisherman. This list of 5 rods is going to cover your bases as far as I'm concerned. So let's get into it. Let's get into the 5 rods I think you must have for bass fishing. Okay, I have to admit it. Am I spoiled when it comes to the number of rods that I have at my disposal for any condition in any type of waterway across the United States? The answer to that is yes. Of course, I'm fishing at the tour level. There's just so many different variables that pro anglers are going to face during the course of a year. So I definitely try to be prepared for anything that I might face on any given waterway in any season throughout the course of a year. So it's important that I have a lot of rods at my disposal at any one given time. This is going to sound terrible when I say that it was difficult for me to pare down to your 5 must-have rods. Before we get into the 5 rods, I've got to say this isn't in any one particular order like best to least or anything like that. These are just 5 rods that I feel like you gotta have. Number 1, you gotta have a spinning rod. And a lot of people are going to be disappointed when I say that, and they're going to laugh because they know that I'm a power fisherman. I'm a guy that likes to get up there in shallow, stained water, throw moving baits, flip, pitch, frog, those types of things. But it has become imperative, if you want to be competitive, to have a good spinning rod in the boat. It isn't that I can't do things with a bait caster that I can do with a spinning rod. There's just things that I can do more effortlessly with a spinning rod that I can with a bait caster. When it comes to a drop shot, a wacky rig, a shaky head, a Nico rig, I feel like those types of presentations work a whole lot better, and I can present them in a proper manner with a spinning rod than I can with a bait caster. So number 1 would definitely be a spinning rod. This spinning rod is actually a Lew's custom speed stick, and it's called a shaky head special. But it's a rod that I feel like just works with everything, which is why I chose this spinning rod. I have a couple of different spinning rods and a couple of different actions, but this spinning rod I feel like handle all those types of finesse presentations very well. This rod is a 7-foot, medium power, extra fast action. And so what that means is it's a medium in its power, but the extra fast means the whole rod's not going to bend. This is going to be more of a faster tip before the actual rod begins to kick in, and you're going to get some of the more of the backbone in the spinning rod. So it's a great rod for just all those different types of finesse presentations. So that's a rod that I feel like I've got to have, not only if I'm fishing tournaments, but also just day to day. I gotta have a spinning rod in the boat. You gotta have it. Number two, but not, again, not in any specific order, you gotta have a crankbait rod. You have to have a crankbait rod. This is a Lew's Perfect Crankbait Rod, 7 foot. I believe it's a medium heavy action. Of course, it's fiberglass, so it's gonna be more parabolic. Where the other one was extra fast, where basically just the tip really started to go on that spinning rod, this one's gonna be more parabolic and it'll bend further down the blank, which is gonna give that fish those treble hooks and make it where I can hook and land those fish with these treble hooks. If you're gonna go with a David Fritz crankbait rod, you better go with a David Fritz type crankbait reel, and the Lew's BB1 is what I have on that. I probably have, that's probably 14 or 16 pound test gamma fluorocarbon. But the thing about this rod is I can fish a 6XD, a 5XD, deep crank with it. I can shallow crank with it. It's just a rod that I can use for multiple crankbait purposes. So this would be the rod that I would fish all my crankbaits on. This is just gonna be my crankbait rod, but basically your treble hooks, your diving plugs, and different things like that. So gotta have a crankbait rod. This is a 7.2 medium heavy. This is another Lew's rod. This is their Magnum Bass Rod tube. This is a great rod for a lot of things. I could throw a Texas rig on this. I could throw a bladed jig. This is a Striking Thunder Cricket. I can throw a spinnerbait on this. I could throw a top water if I changed my line out. I could throw top waters on it, swim baits, under spins, different things like that. I've got this rigged up with a bladed jig, so I would use 16 pound test gamma fluorocarbon, and I got a Lew's Hyper Mag on there as well. So this is a must-have rod because it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. I could do a lot of different things with it. Throw a Texas rig. I could throw a soft stick bait like a Senko style bait, or my Strike King Ocho on that, Texas rigged. So this is just a great rod to have in the boat, period. I've got to have a frog rod. I mean, the frog rod is, when I say frog rod, this is a rod that I could use to throw a frog, but I can do so many other different things with it too. This is a Lew's Magnum Grass, which kind of gives a different idea as far as what you could do with it, but the action is what tells the tale. This is a 7.2 heavy action, and I've got 50 pound test braided line because I got a frog on here. I got that Strike King Tour Grade braided line, and a Lew's Custom Pro here, 7.5 to 1 gear ratio, because again, I'm using this to throw frogs, but I could throw buzz baits on this because I throw buzz baits on braid. So I could throw buzz baits on this. I could throw big old walking baits like a sexy dog, those types of things, big top water baits. But this is a great rod for those types of applications. And then number 5, I have to have a flipping stick. When it comes to my tournament boat, I generally have 3 or 4 flipping sticks in the boat because I have some rigged with a jig, some rigged with a soft plastic, some rigged with straight braid. I have some rigged with fluorocarbon. So there's just different things that I have those rods rigged up with. I gotta have a flipping rod, but a flipping rod I can do different things with. I can also spool this up with fluorocarbon, and I could throw a Carolina rig, I could throw a football jig. It might not be ideal for a football jig, but I could also throw a big spoon when they get out on offshore structure. So I could throw a swing head on this. So there's a lot of different things that I can do with this. I could throw my bigger swim baits on it. So you gotta have a flipping stick, but predominantly what I plan to do with this in the course of a year is flip with it. But again, it can do several other things as well. This is a Team Lew's Custom Pro Speed Stick, 7.6, heavy power, fast action. And it's actually called their Magnum Heavy Cover. So those are my 5 must-have rods for a bass fisherman. This could even be a Christmas list for the favorite fishermen that you have in your family. So those are the rods. I hope you guys like this video. If you do, give me a thumbs up. Drop a comment down below. If you have a question, if you feel like I've missed something, like you say, well, what about that rod? Or what about this technique? And different things like that. And I may have not talked about a specific technique that I could do with one of those 5 rods, but I'll bet you I could tell you which rod I would do that with. So drop a comment in the comment section. Go ahead and share the video if you'd like. That sure helps my channel grow. People get to know that I'm doing these videos. I'm going to continue to try to post on Wednesdays and Saturday nights. Give me some suggestion on topics. If you guys want to hear something specific, go ahead and drop that in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and until next time, good fishing.